Those are the
Those are the coaches of the year.
A football life. Gene Matsook, Rochester, the Matsook family. 4 decades of doing nothing but coaching Rochester football. All right, your Pratt Pack. Before I head back to the home studio and do the NFL game that's Frisco and the Rams, we are going to talk to Gene Matsook, his sister Donna, his beautiful wife Bernadette. We're in Rochester. Everyone knows where they live on Webster Street. It truly looks like a Christmas card, a Hallmark card. Bernadette has done a great job. Big news. It's a sad day, but it's also time to celebrate. He has decided, after 25 years of being the head coach of the Rochester Rams, to retire. And I know his wife will love having him here, but we will miss having him on the sidelines. And between his brother and him, and obviously great coaches along the way, including nephew Ryan, people like Danny Roberts would be here all day. They've had an amazing run. WPIL championships, state championships. Some of the greatest athletes in the history of football have gone to this school and played for them. So the big question is, why did you decide that now was the time, Coach?
No, I just think it's, and I've been, debating it over the last 5 years. And I felt once I got to the 25-year mark, I think it would be a good time. And so, kind of had a plan with that, taking 1 year at a time. A lot of people will kid you and say, well, he's been saying that since he first started. After his first year, he was ready to retire. He kept saying it. So nobody ever believed me. So, but it finally came to the point where 25 years now, I'm at peace and I'm able to move on in retirement and enjoy time a little bit, free time.
Do you realize that you and your brother have been a part of my football life as a broadcaster, whether it was in television or radio, since I really started? I mean, this is something that just doesn't happen. And when you think of longevity and you think of Beaver County, you think of Joe Hamilton, you think of Pat Tarquinio. Have you ever really sat and talked to your brother about the longevity and the legacy, what you guys have been able to do?
Yeah, I haven't really sat down and thought about it. Now, maybe in another month or so, I'll be thinking about how long we've been here. I mean, I know Danny was 14 and started the program, and then, I took over from there. So I've been here 39 years, almost 4 decades. So I never thought in my imagination that I ever thought that we would be, I'd be here this long, so, but, I always say a turtle doesn't get to the top of the fence by itself. I had a lot of great help, a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches. Great support staff, and I was truly blessed, no doubt.
Let me just say this about your sister Donna, who's here, and your wife Bernadette. You could have never did what you did, promoting that program, nurturing these kids, basically mentoring them, if it wasn't for those two.
No doubt. I mean, my sister was part of the quarterback club for a long time, and the quarterback club has done an excellent job for the kids. My wife, of course, she's the main one, 39 years. Never said one thing, supported the kids, would work refreshment stands, would do everything she could as a coach's wife, and to travel all those distances, because we've been all around the state. You got to have a special one. And I always told my assistant coaches, you better get somebody, if you get married and you're young, and you want to coach, you better get somebody who likes football. And so I was blessed to have a super one and a great one in the sense of all that. And I think it's her time now.
Listen, I've heard for years about the beautiful house that she has given him. And this is actually the first and only time I've ever been here. I told him, can I pay rent? I'll just take one of the rooms in the back. It's incredible. Look, there's so many things I want to get to. Obviously, you deciding to retire, did it on his own term, which is rare in any profession, but he did. And this is something he's been really mulling over for a while, but it really came down to now is the time. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but it really is just wanting to be with his family. He may end up doing some other things, but to Joe Gradwell and Essex Law and those folks who are reopening the Hilltop the 1st of next year. So I'm over there the other night and they're saying, we'd like you to maybe do something for us here on a regular basis. I said, first off, you got to get me Essex Law. And I said, I got to get a good coach to be a part of it. While Joe and Essex talk to his agent, I think we have found our crown jewel, or maybe we can actually talk some sports at the Hilltop. What does this community mean to you, Rochester?
I've been here, most of my life. I graduated from Shenango High School, so and then I came down here when Danny took over in '86. So I came as an assistant with him. So the community's been special all the way through. Great support, great people. Just to go this long, you know everybody, I knew the parents, then now you know the grandparents, and you knew the aunts, and you knew the uncles, and everybody knew everybody, and so I was really fortunate and blessed to be able to share the success that we had with this great community. It was really unique.
So this is how the stars align sometime. Earlier today, I spent the entire day with Frank Augustine. I actually brought him an Augustine pizza, Frank, just so you know, so he'll feel like at home. Shenango, Newcastle, in Newcastle, talking about Shenango. Your name came up. You were one of the top 10 athletes that he's witnessed in his time there. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. So what was it like? And I also found out that Chuck Tanner never played high school baseball. They didn't have a high school baseball team. He played Legion ball and went right to the pros.
I just realized that after listening to that podcast. So that was kind of interesting with that. But yeah, Chuck, he graduated from Shenango. A good Chuck Tanner story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, man.
Listen, Chuck Tanner story. Me and a buddy of mine went down to see a Pirate game when Chuck Tanner was the manager. And so after the game's over, we walked to the car and our car won't start. So we said, let's walk over and see if we can see Mr. Tanner come out of the locker room. He might come out and maybe help us. He comes out of the locker room. We see him. Hey, Coach Tanner, how you doing? This is Gene Matsook and a friend of mine, blah, blah, blah. And we go, and he says, yeah. And I said, we're Shenango guys. Yeah. He goes, what's the problem? I said, we can't get our car started. Can you give us a ride home?
No.
He took us from Three River Stadium back home to home on Newcastle. We sat in his car. He had a Cadillac. And we sat in his car and we talked about Pirate baseball. It was the greatest. I said, I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
Here's the thing that really amazes me. And I wish my track record would have been better, but sometimes marriages work and sometimes they don't. And I was trying to tell him, you may not have football, but you still have your wife and you're really lucky. But people would say to me, well, he's from Rochester. I'm like, no, from Shenango. So explain, Danny's here.
Yeah.
And I was talking about Tilt Willis and others earlier today, some of these great players that I used to actually idolize. So explain how he ended up here and you were in Shenango.
Yeah, my mother and dad divorced at a young age. My sister, Donna, and Danny were older, so they stayed down here with my mother and graduated from Rochester, where my middle brother, Dennis, and myself, I was only in second grade. We went with my father, and we went to Elwood City for 1 year, and then we moved to Shenango from third grade on. So I was up here from third grade all the way on when I graduated, played all the sports up there. I probably came back up down here probably in 86. So, probably like 6-7 years later, I got out of Shenango and I came down here and established myself here. And, Shenango was always great people, you know what I mean? I mean, they were always caring people, appreciative people, who, every time I go up there, Frank Augustine with the Augustines gives me a pizza.
Already
it's already made, and I have to give it to my assistants before the game starts. And, but always met me before the game. And, they're just really quality people up there. And I've always treasured, them up there and, what they've done for me in the sense of, they're very complimentary with
Look,
me.
it's easy now because it's fresh, but when the leaves start to change colors and obviously the days get shorter and those lights go on, it's going to be tough because he lives within the shadows of that field. But let me just say this. You've left no stone unturned. You've accomplished everything anybody would ever want to accomplish. And you can talk about the bigger classifications, which are great, but you played in that Big Seven conference, maybe some of the toughest teams in the history. I mean, Clairton. I mean, there's so many teams. Farrell back in the day. Yep. I mean, the competition was as fierce, if not even tougher than any of these classifications. But my question to you is, you taught at Freedom, and I know how much you appreciate your time that you had there. And I found out years ago, my sister worked in the cafeteria. She said, I was talking to Gene Matsook. I said, why were you talking to Gene Matsook? He teaches here. So I still have no idea how nobody else came and snagged you. Obviously, there were offers, but what made you just stay the course when the whole thing started to evolve, the numbers started to shrink, people were getting better facilities, but you stayed in Rochester?
Yeah, you know what? And I think it's just because of the pride. I enjoyed it here. The community was great. We started the program here. We established it. We built it. And it's tough to, move away with that. Once you establish at one place, schools ain't going to come and contact you and try to pull you away. They know you're established there, and so you're settled there. And did I think I'd go somewhere else? Possibly. I never thought I'd stay at one place and to stay there like, the Pat Tarquinias and the Joe Hamiltons who have stayed for a long period of time. The longevity at one school is very, very rare. And but the community, the administrations, I've gone through a lot of administrations and boards, and just the people itself and the players. and then their families. It was very just comfortable, and just great to be around all those great people. And I just, like I said, we've been blessed. I've been blessed over my years. I never, in my wildest dreams, ever think we'd do what we did or won what we won, but it wasn't me. It was
year after year. I mean, you're in the playoffs again this year, and you kept losing quarterbacks and players, and you just kept winning. And you got to really give a lot of credit to just these kids who've come through this program.
No doubt. I mean, thousands. I mean, to be here that long and do the math, you do 25 years and you got 40 kids. I mean, you got thousands of kids, and they were all someone on to be college, someone on. Going on to be successful in their lives. And I always said, when you're going to be successful in your life, that's what it's all about, and I had special kids, all my teams. Somebody asked me the other day, what's your favorite team? I said, I don't have a favorite team. They were all special to me. From 2000 to 2025, each team is special. Each kid was special, and they always will be.
I have to mention him because he was a childhood friend, and Pennsylvania Avenue was all my relatives, the Pratts, the Karens, and he was a part of that. We watched the young Essex Law grow up into a man, and obviously Danny Roberts, who went on to play at Clarion, now Penn West, became an exceptional lineman. Talk about what he meant. And this guy was with you forever.
Oh, well, when I first took the job, I didn't want to take it. I said, I don't want to take it. I don't want to do it. I'm satisfied. They go, you need to take it. And well, I wasn't going to take it unless Danny Roberts came with me. And Danny Roberts came with me that year, and thank God, because he was one of the greatest defensive coordinators that ever come through Rochester. And, he stayed with me for a long time. He was a great friend, hard worker, great coach. And he don't stay with me. I don't know if we won any championships. I mean, that's how quality he was. And so when he stayed with me, he kind of solidified me taking the job. And then, of course, it just took off. So, but Danny's always special, and always will be.
Listen, I just have to say this because I was talking earlier today about how I love putting sponsors together with their community, with their teams. And when I think about Rochester football and my connection, not only do I think about you and your brother and Danny and so many others, the quarterback club, but I think of the Murphy family. Big, did so much for me. The Camp family, and Danny, of course, played there, and his late father loved him playing football for Rochester. All the great players that I witnessed, the Derek Moyes, the Essex Law. I mean, going back to the mid-'70s when I think, the car cases, the Varicos, some of the most incredibly talented football players I've ever seen. This is a really special community. And you think about Babe Pirelli and the history, all of this stuff right here. But when you think about the Matsook family, and I'm a little biased, it is Rochester football. It's going to, and listen, I love the school district. My kids still live here. I love this community. I grew up here. I lived here for a couple of decades almost. But it's going to be really difficult for everybody to understand this. But as you said, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything, right?
Sure. I mean, change is tough, and Rochester will survive and move on. And, I'll be out the door. That's for sure, so, but, I hope they have success. I hope they win. I hope they move on and do well. It'll be a change. 39 years, that's a change, but people adapt to change, and I'm sure they will.
When you look at the situation that is high school sports right now, and you look at the facilities of a 1A school compared to a 6A school, and earlier today I was with Ralph Blundo of Newcastle, and I asked him, I said, how have you guys been able to withstand the test of time? We talked about Shenango earlier. Yeah. So there are certain districts that have been able to make it work. Mm-hmm. And I love Rochester. I love New Brighton. I love Beaver Falls. But what's going to happen? I mean, they either got to co-op, merge, something, because I feel as though a young man in Rochester, a young woman in Rochester deserves the same facilities as anybody else in any classification. And I don't know if it's possible, but there's got to be a thought process to it, right?
I think they need to look down the road. You got to look. I mean, you got to start co-oping. You got to start merging. I mean, it's getting tougher for the small schools to survive academically, sports-wise, whatever it may be. And it's all about the kids. It ain't about the adults. It's about the kids to make it best for them. And I think that when Central Valley went, everybody thought everybody was going to go, and it didn't do that. And a lot of pride in towns, but I think you got to step back and look academically, what's best for the kids, what's best for your districts, what's best for your towns. And, it's 5-10 years down the road, I'm hoping, or that should be anyhow, that things start to go into some merging.
All right, so I've been thinking a lot about you. We're going to wrap this up because your poor wife's filming this video and she's probably getting tired. So let me just cut to the chase here. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with the Larry Bruno Foundation. They have a wonderful museum / open facility, real estate, downtown Beaver Falls, all sorts of great pictures, history. And I think of him in Monaca. I think of him in Beaver Falls. I think of people like Namath. I think about Babe Pirelli on the same team, Super Bowl III. Joe starts, Babe Pirelli backs him up. You got Beaver Falls, Rochester. So all these things swirling through my mind. Geneva College, your brother's connection, Gino DeMarco, who's a huge fan of yours. Do you realize that you are going to be talked about like a Lindy Lauro, like a Jim Render, like a Don Yanessa, a Frank Morocco, a Dan Matsook? You're going to be talked about in the same breath like the Tarquinios and Hamiltons. You know, Chirp, my buddy Chirp, Bill Chirpek's like the last.
He's the last. Him and I were the only guys that stayed at one school for that long period, for longevity. Everybody else hasn't been there that long. So Chirp. And it's nice to see. I mean, we go down to, we have a luncheon during this with Bill Pratte, former Stiller, and we have a luncheon with all the coaches down there. He's there, and Donnie Yanessa, and we're all down there having a lunch. So, but it's nice to see all them people. And I don't know, maybe I'm just, I guess I'll be a dinosaur. Is that what they call it back there when you're in the same breath with those guys? I don't know.
Listen, he loves Penn State. We're both, we both love Joe Paterno. And to this day, love Joe Paterno. But I got to just get 2 football questions in. What do you make of Bill Belichick going to North Carolina?
I think it's a good move. You know, I think he still has that.
He's like you. He just wants to coach.
Just wants to coach, you know, and he wants, you know, he feels he got a lot of coaching left in him. He feels the pros is too much now. You know, he's done what he done there. And I think he go to the college level. You know, he gets to recruit who he wants. I'm sure a lot of people are going to come to him. He got the in the NFL. And so I think it's a good move. I think it's going to bring a lot of notoriety to North Carolina, that's for sure.
Well, here's what people don't realize. There's been some pretty famous alumni at North Carolina, and people have attended there, like a Michael Jordan. You had Roy Williams. You had Dean Smith. They weren't so young when they were coaching. And they had Mac Brown, who was 73, so they actually went younger with him at 72.
True.
But here's what people don't. He's bringing Lombardi with him as GM. Name, image, and likeness. They're going to run it like a pro team.
Yep.
But this is why I want to bring up Bill Belichick, because you know what Bill Belichick and you have in common? No ego. You just want to coach. You just love football. And I watched you for the last couple of years, the searing heat, 2-a-days over there with hopefully having enough guys to fill the team, and the energy and the excitement, just like I saw you as an assistant when your brother was the coach there. So the bottom line is Gene likes football. Bottom line. That's it, right?
I guess so. To be there that long, I guess you better like it. If you didn't, you've been out a long time ago.
How about Rich Rodriguez going to West Virginia?
I think it's a good move. I think it's a guy who's been there, had success, was there. He recruited Derek Moy. So Derek went down there. So Rich was there. So it was nice that he's coming back. I think he'll do a very good job.
Listen, we can tell everybody the truth now. Derek Moy ended up at Penn State because I told Tom Bradley to call him.
Not Derek. Let me back up. Jermaine,
his brother.
Yeah,
he ended up at Cal for Lockhart.
Yeah, that's right. Then that's right. He came back to Derek with the Penn State. Yes.
And speaking of Beaver Falls, I told this to the great Dwight Collins. Jerry Moy, the father of those 2 gentlemen, a big reason why they had a lot of success.
Oh yeah, a great athlete. Great success there at Beaver Falls.
You also made me who I am, you and your brother. Without the Matsook family, there's no Rob Pratt. And I'll take that to my grave. And by the way, when they do take me, it'll be at Murphy's. All right.
You're staying in town. That's a good thing.
I'm going to let you have the final minute or so. Just talk to the fans out there and the people who have supported you, this great school district, the administration, the student body, and all the athletes through the year. And obviously your lovely wife and your sister and brother and nephew and everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody from the community to the media, to my players, to my coaching staff, to my support staff, all the people that were around us doing camera, whatever it may be, to the school district, and to all my family, especially my loving wife who's been with me for 39 years. I want to say a heartfelt thank you. It means a lot. It's always tough to leave. Change is always tough. But, I really feel that this whole community and all of us, we brought a lot of success and a lot of fun and a lot of great memories that we'll never forget. And so I do want to thank you all for supporting me and for being a part of it. Thank you.
I love Gene Matsook. I love this family, and I love talking sports. Look, this is an exclusive that Mike White would want. This is an exclusive to the Beaver County Times. This is an exclusive all the way around. And when I'm done with this video and it goes up in that place that is cyberspace. I'm sending it to my producer, Greg Finley, and we'll get the story out on KDK Radio. A legend, a good man, a decent man, and someone I'm proud to call friend. A little bit later tonight, we'll be back in the home studio across that Ninth Street Bridge in Monaca, and we'll give you the final notes on tonight's football game. Right now, Amazon Prime, and of course, 93.7 The Fan, Westwood One Radio. There's always more sports at 93.7thefan.com. Good night, everybody.